morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you're watching this webcast. And warmly welcome to our webinar series provided you by Microsoft and our business partner, Protectum. And in this series, we're going to discuss something extremely important and relevant for today's business world, which is how do we steer the company through these difficult business circumstances that we are now facing. And I'll be your host and the moderator for this conversation. So my name is Olli Lipsanen, and I work here in New Zealand for Microsoft. And my daily job is to work for Dynamics team in the business application as a sales specialist. So I cover the customer experience side of the world. But what we're discussing is something that I, during my 20 plus years in software business, I've been very closely engaged, like half of my career, in these conversations about how do we steer the company, how do we steer the investments, how do we steer our strategy. So in a different way, we call it project and portfolio management. And we're going to use that as an umbrella of our conversation. And I've actually relocated from Europe, from Finland to New Zealand just 6 months ago. And it's my great pleasure to welcome our special guest star to this conversation. And back in Europe, I had a pleasure of working with Peter, the founder and the CEO of Protectum, who's going to provide most of the content for this conversation today. And we'll give Peter a good chance to introduce himself and the company. But I think as we lead into this conversation, I'll give Peter a chance to say hi from, I guess, literally on the other side of the world. So good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Olli. I'm here in Copenhagen, Denmark, in my home office, as you can see. In times of change, which I guess is the overall theme for these webinars we're doing together. So I'll give a more detailed information about myself, but I can also say quickly that I've been spending 18 years with Microsoft and with the Protectum that I was part of founding, only into the project portfolio management space and how to sort of digitally support that with the Microsoft technology. So that's my entire career that has gone into that direction. So looking forward to sharing something around innovation today here.
It is such a great pleasure to have you here, Peter. And just to set the scene, what are we discussing here and why? I think our CEO, and I've used this quote, if in case you've been watching the previous 2 episodes, this is the quote that I've used every time, but I think it just illustrates why we're here. Because for the obvious reasons, the last few months, we've been witnessing worth years of transformation, not only digital transformation, but I think transformation overall, and the need for change, because the unexpected just happened. And now it's a question on how do we steer our company through these stormy times, but equally important it is how do we innovate, how do we stay on top of our innovation, how do we create new while navigating through these difficult times. And what we're going to discuss today, I mean, the last 2 sessions, last time we were discussing about the execution. So how do we do projects? Before that, we were discussing how do we make sure that we select the right projects? So how do we set the business KPIs? How do we set the kind of a steering wheel for the company so that we know where we're going? We kind of make the strategy visible to everybody. So we've gone from portfolio management, from top down to execution, and now we nicely wrap it up with the innovation theme. And kind of a way we do this is a mix of giving you the guidelines of the framework and Peter's experience in this, how to set things up, how to do the kind of the process part is really valuable. But it's not only that, because today's world change is quite fast-paced. So we need to give you the tooling to be able to steer the company, make the decisions on a daily basis. And that's, you're going to see the power of Microsoft Power Platform. And we're going to use the word power, by the way, a lot, because this is really powerful, what we're going to show you. But Power Platform is the new kind of a easy developing, sorry, I'll take it down. So Power Platform is something that we launched a couple of years ago, and it really is our way of helping you to unlock the innovation. So it is a very easy way for you to build applications. what you're going to see today, built by Projectum, called Power PPM, that's on the high end. It's a very sophisticated way of managing your basically whole of your investments and innovations. But we can also build really simple apps. So this is a way, because when we talk about innovation, ideation, it's quite important that we also make sure that everybody's on board. And Power Platform for that is really purpose-built to bring everybody on board, so that it's really easy for you to build applications. So if you can use PowerPoint, we always say that if you can use PowerPoint, you can build applications using Power Platform. And where you do it, basically, Power Apps is the solution that, for example, Projectum has used to build this rich application called Power PPM. But you can use it to build extremely simple, just mobile applications. And sometimes you also need very sophisticated business process automation behind it, where then part of Power Platform is Power Automate, where you can build business process synchronization, so that you can build very complex business processes, just automate them, so that your daily life becomes really easy and the execution happens. And then often you also need external data. So using the data connectors of Power Platform, you can bring in external data from multiple sources. And also, I think what Peter will show is the power of Power BI, how you can create dashboards, so that helps you to see all the information in a simple dashboard, so that you can make those daily decisions, whether it's about your projects, your programs, or your new ideas. Everything is like in your fingertips, just provided by the dashboards of Power BI. So that's kind of the framework that we've been using and we've been launching, and what the Projectum has been building their solution with. But I guess it's enough about the platform itself, because I think, Peter, you do have something very important and very interesting to share with us. So take us through what's your background, what's your company, and what you've been doing in the team of innovation.
Thank you, Olli. I will do. So again, my name is Peter, and after these 18 years of being in the industry of technology and project portfolio, and in this case also innovation management, I have been working closely with Microsoft in quite some years. So for the past 10 years, I've been what is called a Microsoft MVP in two categories, one in business applications and one in project management and portfolio management. I'm also part of two advisory councils assisting Microsoft with providing feedback of at least how my customers and my experience is, so that Microsoft is aware of what should be prioritized. And both in terms of project portfolio management, but also in terms of certifications and how we sort of assess if people are on track with what is on a need-to-know basis in these changing times. I have my blog, I have my LinkedIn profile, and many other things going on for me on YouTube and so forth. So I'm easy to follow in case you like what you see today and want to know more. And there are various sources for you to dive into and gain more information. Now, the company that I founded some years back is a Microsoft Power Platform partner. That means we are covering all the products and technology that Olli just explained about, plus Microsoft Project. And all of this obviously is our foundation for going out to customers and assisting them with maturing their processes, leanifying, if you can call it that, their operating models. And you can see from some of the icons I have on my landing page here that these are just examples, but it's a big variety of different enterprise companies we've worked with for quite some years. And what sort of combines all of them is not the industry they're in, obviously, but more the need they have, the general common need to ensure transparency about their investments, about the projects they're doing, about me as a person and what I'm supposed to work on. Or maybe also ensuring that the demand or the intake, going back to innovation, that we have a tool there to capture rich ideas and quickly transform them into really relevant investment cases or business cases that we want to execute and track. So one thing that really stands out in my company is our big why, like Simon Sinek always says. And our why is to make sure that our users, regardless of who they are out there, feel good and have good vibes when they use our solutions. And there's no doubt about it that with the Microsoft Power Platform, that has now been much easier for us to achieve that goal or that mission. considering the fast pace we can roll out the system with, and also how extremely high performing the system is on your browser, in Microsoft Teams, on my cell phone, on my tablet, from home, doesn't matter. It just works. So it's much easier now today for us to really deliver on that key message. If we look into innovation, we've been through times of change from a portfolio and project management perspective in the first two events we did together. But when it comes to innovation as a solution to a problem, then the key problem typically is that when your strategy is changing, you find new challenges, and suddenly you need to rebalance your entire set of projects you're running so that they fit the new strategy. But quite often, you also have new opportunities where you don't have ongoing projects already. You might not even have any ideas supporting it. And innovation can take place on the floor, in the boardrooms, all over the place. So how do we capture and ensure that all users are part of the innovation journey, which in my opinion starts with more than innovation, actually creativity as the umbrella for everything. How do we set free more creative spirits, and how do we ensure that they are part of the journey from submitting their good ideas to them also being able to track if their ideas have actually become something that help the business achieve this or that. When we look at innovation, we typically have three types of portfolios. This is just an example. There could be many other types of portfolios, but this is the Gartner approach, I would say, to how to sort of structure it. We typically see that portfolios, if you only had one inside your business, one massive portfolio with all your activities going on inside, you will find that there would be some types of projects that are based on fear. So if we don't do this, then this will happen. Some are more based on fact. We have to keep the lights on, otherwise this will happen. Or we want to do this instead of that, so we can sort of compare the cost and the benefits of changing something from building A to building B. And then we have faith, which is where people say, I have a really good idea. Let's build a plasma screen of some sort. Remember, many years back when people tried to reinvent the TV. Probably someone somewhere thought it could be a cool idea to have a flat TV, but I'm also sure that before that sort of became something that we all could buy at a low cost, lots of innovation and money went into sort of figuring out if that was even possible. One of the risky thing we see most businesses are sometimes struggling with is that they have a tendency to compare those faith-driven projects, the projects where we are not really sure about the cost reduction that we can gain from this project, or the other upsides in terms of more sales and so forth. Those projects that are so new and so innovative that we haven't done it before. And if we take those and compare that to projects that are fear-based or fact-based, where it's typically quite easy to do a business case, then these will sort of stand out as the high risk, low revenue or low benefits, because we aren't really sure the weird ROI, so to speak, and therefore lose. So as a suggestion, I guess, what I tend to, especially in times of change with COVID-19 going on, it's extremely important that you also allow room to maybe even gain from this new situation, rather than just cut costs and only focus on cash flow. There will probably be lots of new ideas that are super relevant. So you have to think about how you can make sure there's room for them, both from a systems perspective, but also from a portfolio perspective, that you reserve enough money still for the good ideas to be tried out, and maybe even they will become the future most important projects in your portfolios. Harvard did a recent study about this, innovation in a time of crisis and why it matters. I would suggest all of you watching this to read it. But essentially, it's all about lots of things, but I've simplified it even further, I would have to say. One is all about share your challenges. If you as a business owner are uncertain on how to solve a certain problem, how can we sell stuff when we don't have our goods on the shelves because our vendors are right now not able to, for instance, with COVID, to submit or send or ship their goods to us? How can we do that? Make it a challenge where people can openly engage in with a time box. From here to here, you can submit your ideas, and allow them to create ideas, writing whatever they want to. And also for them to understand that they only have a certain amount of time to do it in. Then maybe even if you're really, careful, allow your employees to also vote on each other's ideas. So it's not just a management thing to do. If you allow them to do that, then you can present to management what all employees looked through and found interesting. And based on my experience, it's really qualified what you're going to get into that meeting room when you're sitting with managers. But all your employees with so many different roles have thought about and aligned on. That's pretty qualified. And then, of course, at some point you want to share back to them, okay, we're going to move ahead with this idea and this and this and that. And this whole process has to be for all. It has to be something where it's always something we are investing time in. Innovation is not a stop and go thing. It's something we always do. So for that reason, it's extremely important also that you revisit your challenges constantly. So when your strategy changes, your challenges would change as well. And on a final note, also reduce bureaucracy. Make sure that those with the best, most creative ideas are not always impacted immediately with the big cost-benefit analysis spreadsheet or that massive Word document where you have to write 20,000 words on why this is relevant. Because that will scare off certain types of people for sure. And you probably want to have those people on board because some of those most creative spirits out there are perhaps even those who hate the most also to go in and fill out data here and there. So that's the whole process we want to support so that they also feel comfortable inside the system that I'm going to show today. Now, Power Platform was already mentioned in the introduction by Olli and why this is relevant, not just because Gartner says so that it's a leader, not just because of the different products, but because of what it does in terms of giving companies certain capabilities that really support working with work, portfolios, projects, ideas, top down, bottom up, with stage gates and automated task approvals, AI even, mobile support. Like I said, if you are running on the floor as an employee, you probably not all have a laptop, right? So you probably run around with your cell phone. How can I go in here and create an idea like this real time as well and have that be available for the rest of the business? So that's all the things the Power Platform just does for us. So quite a lot of upsides for sure on this platform approach to solving business problems. Now, connecting strategy to work again is what we sort of explain in what we're doing in this company. And again, we have sets of various portfolios that we've covered in other webcasts, but we have various portfolio types for sure. And you could argue that ideas should not be submitted necessarily directly against a certain portfolio, but maybe against a certain business direction or strategy, which I'm going to cover. But still, from a portfolio or business operating model perspective, you will find that ideation or innovation, like this one is right now, is closely connected to change management, closely connected to risk management, very much connected to strategy, also finance, also benefits, etc. Which is why the shared set of capabilities that Power PPM that I'm going to show you supports is relevant because we connect the dots. All of these different capabilities goes into the same bucket, the same database, allowing you to do really rich reporting on top of it. But for a role as a staff member somewhere in the business, maybe they only have access to the ideation part, and that's all fine. Besides that, we present the framework like this on the left side, where we have our top-down approach to driving key decisions on portfolio level, setting up the strategy up here. This was covered in webcast 1. We then have our project models and our way to plan and execute tasks, agile or not. That was covered in webcast 2. And today it's all about innovation, which again is something that happens on all the levels in our organization and by everyone actually. So this is the big circle surrounding everything. Technology-wise, we are also supporting this with a tool of choice where you could argue that, let me zoom in here, that on the top floor here we have the Power Apps solution, which I'm going to show today, called Power PPM. This is where you have your entities of like ideas, projects, programs, and so forth, and where they are all connected. The execution tool of choice is perhaps Jira, Planner, Power Apps, Microsoft Project, DevOps, could be many things. We've also covered that in the past webcast. And down here we have Power Platform, which is not Power Apps, that's just part of Power Platform. But down here we have all the connectors allowing us to harvest all that rich data into one data set so that you can build great looking and reliable Power BI reports that you can share with your stakeholders across the business. So moving ahead into the live demonstration, right now it's all about innovation, right? So if we just quickly share my screen here, We are back into Power PPM, our solution. We arrive at the landing page. I am still the portfolio manager in this specific context. So what I can see would be all my projects, change requests, issues, and so forth, but also my ideas, actually grouped by business theme. So again, touching quickly on that one, business theme equals the direction the business is going. Business drivers equals the tangible items within that direction. So if you want to go to Asia and conquer the world over there and sell more of your products, then that will be your theme, your strategy. Below that, you have your drivers. Which countries? How much are we going to make in terms of money? Which products are we selling and how many of them? Those sorts of things. And for that reason, ideas should also be linked either to the direction or the drivers. But if it's a direction you're not sure if you're going to take, then it might be a business challenge somehow, where you want to have as many people as possible to help you drive that whole portfolio of new qualified ideas. Before we arrive there, just quickly touching upon these real-time dashboards that are part of Power Apps. One thing that I really love is that I can expand any of these charts and even add more by just clicking new up here. But if I expand this one, I can see the ideas grouped by the business theme, for instance, all the transformation ideas. Click on that one and then drill down to whatever makes sense. Business challenges, business drivers, business themes, and so forth, or who have created these, for instance. What is the name of them? Probability of success, whatever you have attached to your ideas. Perhaps it's something like status as a pie chart. And here I can see that all the ideas right now are active, otherwise there would be different colors. And I can even further drill down from here to something else like business driver, as this one, and see we have 4 different drivers at play for these ideas. So you can just keep going with drilling down all in real time. This is not Power BI, this is native charts built inside Power Apps without the use of any code. You can build these charts as well. So besides that, we've been through the portfolios, which is where we have the aggregated view of what's going on, grouped by portfolios here. We have programs, we have projects, and many of these are ideas before they become projects, right? That's what we're going to cover today. And we have epics, which are your agile initiatives, not projects, something else. Then we have themes, drivers, and benefits. But what I'm going to focus on today would be challenges, ideas, and benefit realization. But especially benefit realization is so rare for me to see people succeeding with that. And I actually think it can be solved quite easily. And it's a big part of the innovation, I think, to be able to measure which ideas has driven, the highest impact on our business on a financial perspective. So if we go to the challenges, first of all, right here, this is where I can set up some big challenges or issues I have in the company where I want people to submit ideas. Creating one of these is as easy as just clicking new up here, and you can create a new bucket or a new business challenge, which could be my NZ challenge, New Zealand, with a short description. This challenge is about this. You can have a sponsor of the challenge. That might not be me. It could be someone else. I can look up and perhaps take our CFO here. The launch date, when am I open for ideas to be submitted? That might be on the 1st of October. We will accept new ideas until the end of October here, so 1 month only. And we promise to review the ideas, which is really important to share back to your submitters of ideas, on November 15th. This means there is a basic timeline for this challenge, so people will know when to expect you to come back to them with your decisions. They love that, I have to promise you. Then the committee who is going to review these ideas, that might be me, it might be someone else. And either you write it like this in free text, because it might be external as well, or I don't know. Or you go like I did with the sponsor up here and just quickly, search through your repository of users from your Active Directory or wherever they come from. Let me just write my name. So far, we haven't awarded any ideas yet, so I'm just going to keep it there for now and hit save. On the timeline, this is where I can continuously chat and collaborate and share information. For instance, now we are at Go Live with some text associated. Maybe you want to attach a document. I can do that as well. Just clicking there and find your file. Doesn't matter which one. And hit Add Note. And it all goes into this timeline that you can share with others as well. So you can see, by date, what has been talked about and when, and others can write on this wall as well. So for each channel, you also find you have related ideas. And in this case, there aren't any ideas yet because it's a brand new challenge. So now let's take the hat off as a business sponsor of this challenge and instead become a team member of some sort or just an employee. First off, I'm not sure that employees necessarily would go into this system called Power PPM. I'm pretty sure that so many of us, like me, working from home, is sitting inside Microsoft Teams today. So to give you an idea about how this view right here will look in Teams, well, interestingly enough, it's the exact same. So of course, this works in Teams, full screen and full screen. So you can do whatever you did in Power Apps from inside Microsoft Teams. You can even do your own application without code so that this is your add-in. So rather than navigating through various teams to find ideas, you can just add the ideation bucket right here on the left side as a real application, done by you, done by us. From here, I can show charts, showing all the ideas that are in the pipeline and how they are connected to different business themes. You could have several charts as well added here, drill down and so forth. You can also click on it and see which ideas you have in Grow. That's the direction called Grow of the business. These would be the ideas. I can also create new ideas. Just click New. So it all works from Teams. And here I can go in and create my NZ idea. This can be connected to a certain challenge. I can only see challenges that are not closed yet. You can configure that. Let's take this one. And I can then write this idea is all about improving our product sales, for instance, in some region. These are just example fields. You are free to add more custom fields, again, without the use of code. But I'm just giving this as an example today. For instance, the time to return on investment. When do you expect to do the break even? Maybe it's 18 months from now. I would imagine this would have a cost of 250,000. So this is guesstimating. Benefit might be 2.5 million euros or USD. Or we want to rate the idea according to strategy fit. This could be a big questionnaire. This is pretty simplified what I'm doing right now. So here we go. Probability of success. When you save it, you then get a real-time calculation of the ROI. You get a real-time calculation of the idea score, and you can have many people scoring the same idea. So we can even have a counter saying 2,500 people have voted on this idea, and this is the result. So it's not subjective, but objective. Of course, this score you can then use to sort of rank your ideas and underneath each of these challenges. We can then later on go in and say, now we're ready to sort of fund this. There could be a whole stage gate model, which we've covered in webinar 2. We could go in and say that we are allowing this idea to become a project or a business case at least. I'm the approver. I want to create a project. Not all can do that, but I can. When I then hit save in this view right now, it immediately in a second creates the project right now. When you click on that one, you are carried over to the project we just did. And here you see that our description of the idea has been carried over as well. We have the description down here. We have the proposed budget, the estimated benefits, and just, to remind you all watching this, I'm still in Teams. I haven't left Microsoft Teams. But of course, if I were to use my application like this, when I go to the ideas, then of course there is an NZ idea right now. And of course, this is connected to a project. And if I go to projects, you will find that the NZ idea is up here as well. Just go down again. There we go, NZ idea. So then what you can do from now, of course, is to enrich this idea with much more information about the schedule, the finances, the stakeholders, the team members, and all of that is what we covered in both webinar 1 and 2. So revisit those if you haven't seen that. But for now, this is where the project managers takes over until the point in time where we have to track the benefits. So now imagine that after you've thought through this entire, I would say, project or idea, you learned that these benefits, they're actually quite okay. I think it is 2.5 we need to track again and see if we can realize in terms of real business value or real benefits. So maybe you want to create a benefit plan. So when I hit save now, this is typically the project manager at the very end of the project where we go to benefit realization. Then I can click down here, open this one up, and now see the planned benefits in a benefit plan overview where the benefit plan owner have to do their work. This is not the project manager's job. So this is why we are now in the benefits region. Here I can see the NZ idea is part of the benefits we're trying to track. Next step, you can allow people to use a predefined structure of benefits for that idea or that project, or you can have them add their own lines. For instance, track sales in Asia for new products, because that was one of the things we wanted to do with our idea. We are going to track product A, B, and C as an example. Let's save that one. So that goes into the grid now, which means now we can connect this to our ERP system or CRM system to check up on sales. Or if we don't have that ability, I can manually click here and add my own information about how much did we sell this month or for this specific product, for instance, and so forth. Per year, per month, whatever. This is customizable. So up here, once a day or once an hour, you can configure that. It rolls up all the information into a summarized view so that you now can see that this equals 1 million in euros in this case, compared to the planned benefits of 2.5 million. This way, we now have a clear overview of all the benefit plans that are running and how much we have actually collected from benefits. We can even do it in a chart as well, if you want to see it there. I haven't added charts in this case, but you saw that before. So here we can just tailor that whole charting experience. Or we can go straight through to a report like in Power BI, where we can sign in, because here we have obviously a validation of who you are and what you're allowed to see. And check up on benefits as well, or the realization of it in this sort of portfolio overview. Or maybe you want a more hardcore ideation approach to your data. But just connecting quickly or touching on this report, notice that the project we just did in real time has shown up right here as well. We also covered that previously in our demo, but we are in a situation now where Power Apps also supports real-time data straight through to Power BI. So the other type of report I have for you today is this one. Let me just switch to the view down here called ideation. This is just a simple example where you can see all ideas coming in, where they are in terms of benefits and score, whether or not they've been created as a project, simple yes and no, the total benefits, the total investment required, and how the number of ideas are supporting certain directions our business is going in right now. So here you can see that you have 3 ideas supporting next generation products. And up here you have 6 ideas supporting better workplace. If you look at the current running portfolio, this is the situation. You have several projects supporting UN sustainability goals. And if you look again at the ideation, you only have 2. So you can quickly compare as is with to be based on ideas coming in from your employees. And then on a final note over here, I showed that with our also presentation about project management. It's very easy for us to export this if you want to directly into a Word document. You can predefine a Word template up here so that, as the case could be, you go for the project's overview. Let's take the project we just did. I think it's faster to just write up here because searching is so fast in the system. There we go. We take the NZ idea, and maybe you want to export that to a Word document to get a quick overview on the project status or the idea status. So here's the predefined template. Clicking there brings you to Word, obviously, and in real time, it has been injected with the data from this specific idea that we created or project that we're now managing. Even all the text that came straight through from the idea has been carried over, plus the benefit realization plan, and so much more. So really, really powerful for anyone working in the system to get their overview. And I think, Olli, that's more or less with the time I had available, what I could show today. And hopefully it was good enough. Back to you.
Well, Peter, I think you know my opinion. It's always more than good enough, because it's just amazing job what you've done with the Power Platform and how you kind of are bringing all of this together. And this is basically maybe a few observations before we close, because we both been working with these kind of projects a few years in the past. And I think often you've heard the same thing as well, that when you talk about innovation, people say that you should not put any control over innovation. It should be a free-flowing process as such.
Yeah.
But I think this is a really good illustration that once you make it visible to everybody, why we're actually doing the innovation, why we're doing ideation. And often where people get kind of fed up is the fact that my ideas are never showing up anywhere. I never know if my idea was bringing any results.
Definitely.
And now when you put a system like this in place, all of a sudden everybody can see what has been my contribution. And you can even build like rewarding systems. So who contributes the most, gets a bonus.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Exactly. It's a lot about transparency and being able to also have a sharing of your challenges. I think that's critical, that if you don't share your business pains or your business challenges, people don't know what matters the most. And that's mainly where you see the random ideas popping up that are probably not that relevant. But it all starts with top management sharing that they are in a situation where ideas are more than welcome. And then they trust that they will get qualified input, and they use that, and maybe even trust that the employees themselves know how to score these things before they take the big decision and get white smoke out the chimney.
Yeah.
I think it really requires that you are able to share your strategy and concerns. But if you do that, I think you are sort of setting creativity free, and that equals innovation afterwards. You can't just do innovation like you just said with a system and then expect stuff to happen. It's creativity first, allowing room for that, which requires big amount of transparency. And therefore, you obviously need a system and not, a Word document flying around somewhere. So
yeah, and that's why I think it's quite important that you have that heart in your presentation, where if you can enable people to put their heart behind this, then you will never get them engaged. But I think if you have a summary of all of this is, I think, the other observation. What I think you can also sign that, how many times have we had these conversations where we find ideas being completely disconnected from everything else, or you have a project management system, but it's just completely disconnected. So we might be the world's best in executing projects. Unfortunately, we're just executing the wrong projects because they don't add any value to anyone.
Yeah.
So in terms of what we've been now going through during these 3 kind of episodes, it's actually connecting all of these dots. So building the connection between bringing all the ideas in, then bringing that positive governance, making sure that they add business value, then kind of building the decision-making criteria and methods, that how do we make meaningful decisions every day? And once they're done, then how do we execute in the best possible way? And I think this is kind of a never-ending circle, because I think you, Peter, and your company is a good example of that. You use this system every day to govern your own business, and I think you've been through the turbulent times as well. So I think you're really eating your own dog food, in a sense, that you steer your business. You also engage your employees with bringing their ideas on this platform.
Absolutely. One example, every Monday morning I get an email which is showing me automatically, of course, inserted reports from Power BI. I don't even need to open up Power BI. It just goes into my inbox and it's there in the first position. And that looks for anything from finance to ideas, current customer projects, resources that we are lacking of or have bottlenecks with, and so forth. So there's a lot of things where I don't have to disturb others and ask them for some information, and then they have to ask other people, and so on. So I would not at all hesitate to ask people to use a system, because sometimes that is the blocker we are feeling, both you and I, that people are hesitant to roll out a system, for instance, to drive innovation, because they think it's sort of the opposite that's needed. But as you saw in my system, I think to create an idea, it could be as simple as 8 simple fields you have to fill in. And if that's a problem, then I can't even imagine the pain many goes through if I look through the Excel sheets I often see, or the Word documents, or the business case templates I've met so far, because they are sometimes 20 pages long. So I think 18 fields or a simple page in Teams or on your phone, it's just a massive upgrade, which will allow much more different personalities actually to become part of the creativity party here and drive the business forward with lots of better ideas and innovation in general.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, again, we have to remember one quite important thing here, that everything that we've seen, because obviously you now show the innovation part, but you also touched what we've been discussing before in terms of portfolio management, project management. But if we tie this back into how do we enable our customers, everybody online, to make this magic happen, you started this journey with an empty page some time ago.
Yeah.
Everything that people have seen now has been started from basically an empty canvas.
Yes.
Where you started to create all these business rules and everything. So I hope that this kind of illustrates the power of this platform. And again, we're using the word power quite often because this is very powerful. So it is the power of Power Platform. But then you showed a few examples of how we can generate Word documents. How do we bring the AI capabilities on this? How do we start predicting what's actually going to happen? So soon in the future, when we add more AI capabilities, we don't have to kind of look into the history anymore. Our system can predict if we have this type of a portfolio, this type of an idea, the likelihood that it brings business value is 60%. So I think the enriching platform that Microsoft has and the kind of a knowledge that partners like yourself have, it is a really powerful combination when building this kind of a mechanism on helping you, everybody online listening, to build the governance model, build the steering mechanism for you to kind of get out from this storm with the best possible kind of results. So as the next steps, I think it's a good way to wrap it up by saying that this can be extremely complex. It can also be extremely simple. And I think one really powerful thing that Projectum as a company and Peter's team has is that the capability of trying this out, so that you can start very simple pilot trials. That's something that has been proven to be extremely powerful, so that you can see the value, you can try it on yourself. But like having said that, the governance framework as such can be also fairly rich. So the knowledge that Projectum has, I think, comes into play here. That if you need guidance, then I think Peter is your man to reach out to understand that how the framework can be built. And obviously everything that relates to Microsoft, we're more than happy to help for you to better understand what the Power Platform is and where the power of the one Microsoft is. So Peter, any final words from you? We've been going through an interesting series of webinars.
Yeah, I just want to, of course, again say thank you for allowing me to present what we've done, especially in your part of the world. Even though I know everyone in the world can see these webinars, I perfectly enjoy that we are now on the radar. I hope in the whole New Zealand, Australian area as well. And I just think that it's also worth remembering what you've seen today as just a template. See Power Platform as the technology you need to do what I've shown. And then see what I've shown you, which is a solution, just as a template. So exactly like you said, Olli, most people can start from the ground up with a blank spreadsheet or a white page somewhere in Power Platform as well. And then you can spend tremendous time sort of reinventing the wheel, because so many of those that I've met are in the same need of driving risk management in this direction or making sure they have portfolios. It's quite often the same. So just consider what I've shown you more like a template that you can then change than a one-to-one solution that you need to use as is, because it's definitely up for change. We just give you the starting foundation and the Kickstarter, so to speak, so that you don't have to spend months and months and money on doing something that is probably 80% of what you need already. So it's definitely a template. The time is now for templates. I always compare this to websites. You can also build a website from the ground up by inviting in developers, or you can go with Wix.com and similar. Pick a template, rechange it a little bit or configure it, and then publish it. This is what the Power Apps can do for you. So think of us as the template that will save you time, hopefully, and give you some best practices. And then you can take it from there and enhance it even further and tailor it to your business needs. And again, I would love to do some more detailed demos around different processes. Or again, spin up some trials for you. We have more than 100 trials active right now. So, and we have room for much more. So just reach out, that's for sure. And I will be happy to help and assist anyone to the next step.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. And I know that you guys over in Europe, you're heading towards winter. We're heading towards wonderful summer. So I guess you with your dark winter, you're going to have a lot of time to develop us a really good platform solution.
It's almost already dark, yes.
Exactly. But I think this concludes our 3 episodes of kind of helping you to govern your way through these difficult times. And I hope that you've got something out of this. And like having said in the next step slide, you can see our emails there. You can see the topics where you can reach out to us. So don't be shy. We're here to help you, and we really hope to hear from you. And with this, I hope you all a very good working day or good night. Thank you.